right, how's everybody doing? Throws me off every time Viva and Barnes get done right on time. I'm going, fantastic episode from what I saw tonight. I saw earlier part of it, but whew, wow, very impactful. If you want to know what makes Barnes tick or about his childhood and his father and everything else, this is a really revealing sidebar that they just had tonight. Very, very incredible. Incredible stuff. Really, I can't speak highly enough of it. I was kind of honestly shocked to see Barnes be so vulnerable. And again, I'm assuming that everybody here knows about Viva and Barnes. Obviously, not everybody necessarily does. Hi, Gina. You subbed to Allison's channel, and I'm happy to say that Allison is back, so you get to see new content. She had 5 times August on tonight, who has actually been on my channel, and he's been on News with Booze, filling in for Allison before as well. Really, really great artist. He does amazing work, and I'm really happy to see the word get out about him. And while we are on it, I'm going to take a moment and start pitching. Sorry, but I've actually decided to spin off another show from a show that I was already doing. I'm spinning off as a whole new channel, and it's America's Untold Stories with Mark Robert. We actually have already done. I've done 7 episodes with Mark, and there'll be another episode tomorrow, finishing out the RFK series, and it should have Barnes on as well. And we're going to do this as a separate channel after that point. I have pinned the comment here in the chat. I would really love it and appreciate it if you guys consider subscribing to it. It'll help a lot to at least get the channel over the threshold so I can get community posts and live streaming capabilities and things like that. So if you don't mind and you like what I do with Mark Robert and America's Untold Stories, the CIA stuff, things like that, it's a very distinct voice, message, everything else. It's going to be all that, Mark and I, all the time. Please consider subscribing. And let me see. Poolerific. Yes, I guess I should talk about Dog the Bounty Hunter, since I've been talking about the behavior panel last week. There's going to be something coming up with me in the behavior panel in the near future too, because they did an evaluation. Everybody threw a tantrum on it. And now I don't know if Dog has found, thank you, Lady Babylon, number 9. That's awesome. Thank you, Dirk. Yeah, I really do appreciate it. Every sub really, really helps a lot. Seriously, it takes a lot. I'm trying to get over that 1,000 threshold, which opens up all the doors, and then I cannot bug people as much. But anyway, Dog appears to be injecting himself into the Brian Laundrie situation. I have mixed feelings about this. I would say that, from what I understand, because I confess I've never watched a single Dog the Bounty Hunter episode in my life. Howdy, howdy, hey.
Hello.
Talking about Dog the Bounty Hunter injecting himself into the Brian Laundrie,
Yeah.
Gabby Petito situation. And I'm curious about you too. I have never actually watched a single Dog the Bounty Hunter episode, and I've been pitched Dog the Bounty Hunter, but I kind of declined at the time because I didn't know if it was like, oh, he's a famous name. I don't want to, I don't want to just have a famous name. I really do want to make sure that it fits the show. But I don't want to say that he's not a professional. I mean, he's a bounty hunter. I imagine he's very, very good. Maybe he can track Brian Laundrie down, but there is a part of me that does kind of question, is this a publicity stunt? Is this a matter of, a lot of people are piling on to a really, really tragic situation. And again, I want, if Brian Laundrie did it, he needs to be caught, prosecuted, all of that. But, everybody's made their decisions about everything that's going on. And it's really, really, really frustrating to see a kind of horrible family tragedy being turned into such a spectacle. So
Mm-hmm.
right in time to clarify our thoughts.
Well, I feel like that's what happens, and it's part of the reason why nobody really likes the justice system anymore because it feels like the deck is stacked towards whatever justice can benefit the people making some kind of profit, whether it's social capital or actual financial capital. And I think social media has made all of that worse. It's not that I don't think it existed before, but I've seen it in the news business where you were a journalist for all these other reasons, some of which may have been, and a lot have been about narcissism, but it was the narcissism of like being on your channel and that brand. But now with social media, you become your own brand now. So it's like exponentially increased the level of narcissism and egomania, and then just divisive rhetoric and stuff, because that's how people grow the brand. And so I think social media has turned a lot of us, I guess it's amplified some of our most negative ego characteristics. And I think that's happened with the justice system. And in this particular case, there are just a lot of people who are jumping on the bandwagon, maybe because they can tweet about it,
Yeah. I think it's something that you and I face sometimes. I mean, we've talked about it a lot together, and I've talked about it others about you behind your back because it's fun. But we tend to spend too much time in the squishy middle where everybody's pissed off at us. It's like I have trouble going all the way one direction on one thing or another. It's like, yeah, I'm a hardcore believer in, if it comes to speech, I'm always there. I mean, that's just a no-brainer. If you're going to freeze a channel out, Alison was frozen out again. How long did it take before I was tweeting saying, hey, what's up?
By frozen out, you mean suspended?
Yeah. Well, what's the difference? Okay.
For medical misinformation.
I choose frozen out.
Because I just want to make sure people know what exactly happened. I was locked out of my channel for medical misinformation. And then YouTube just tweeted today or I can't remember when the tweet came out, that they made a mistake and they're sorry for the frustration. I don't believe that any real person said something. My stuff. Huh?
Well, okay. I believe that is actually true. That is why I tweeted it out, and I'm sure you had others as well. Because let's look at my channel in February. My account was completely deleted. Everything was gone, right? I filed an appeal and I had a response in 20 minutes that said, yeah,
sorry.
Too bad. And yes, they did a careful thing. And now this is all algorithmic, right, speaking. So I would argue that no, it's not a human. And that's the whole point of going to Twitter with everybody we know and saying, hey, Team YouTube, let us shame you, let you feel bad, whatever it is. And then that brings an actual human involved to go, okay, we better look at it. Check. And then all of a sudden, and it's really kind of messed up though, because then they put you back on. And the fact that they told you on Twitter, we made a mistake, that's better than most of the time. A lot of times they just do it. So you have no strike then, right?
Well, I have my warning. I still have a warning. So, but right, no, yeah.
We should have fought that probably. And that's a mistake.
I did. But then maybe I didn't go to Twitter.
I don't think you did.
I don't think I did.
I think that, and that's the really dirty play about YouTube. And I hate to make it about us, but they give you a warning and you're just so thankful that you're not, suspended like everybody else you hear about. You just want to shut up, stay under the radar and keep things quiet. But then next time you're off. So I feel like everybody needs to, if they just breathe wrong toward you, you need to raise a giant fuss all the time.
I hate that.
I hate it too, but what do you want? I mean,
it's not in my nature to be like, I mean, that's one of the reasons I hate Twitter and I rarely ever go on it. It's like not in my nature to start attacking, and I don't do it in a mean way, right? But it's still like, oh, YouTube, you know, we all know the jig is up, YouTube. You don't really care, you know, this or that, and this isn't whatever. And I had, you know, the guy I interviewed was a director of medical ethics, and he was talking about the ethics of vaccine mandates and suing California, the University of California.
Which, by the way, had nothing to do with veracity of anything dealing with the V word. And I'm going to be hyper freaking scared. I know we'll go yellow. We always do. But can we just keep it going? We're going to pretend that we're drug dealers in the past decade. So it's Fauci juice or some other variant. And he didn't even talk about that per se. You're talking about a lawsuit. This is a matter of public record. It's not
right. It is, yeah.
controversial.
Don't you want to know? I mean, then you can know he's a misinformation spreader. Shouldn't we find out, you know, who this guy is if he's spreading misinformation? And I don't know. It's just, you can't document history anymore. That's what I do when I go straight to the source. Like, I could get somebody to do commentary on his suit, but I want to know why he's suing. I want to know what his talking points are and what his argument is.
Right.
It doesn't mean I'm endorsing it. It just means I want to go to the source. It's history. It's actually happening. This is a thing that's actually happening in history, and ignoring it does not take it away. But I'll tell you what it does do. It leaves people who are not aware of the censorship thinking that there are no doctors that have different opinions on this. There are no doctors that are suing.
And that's the point. It works. I mean, the truth is it works. They would not do this crap if it didn't work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there was a son of a presidential candidate that had a lot of bad things on a laptop, and that whole story vanished, completely vanished. And then a month later, they were like, yeah, it's all true. We don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it did help. I mean, I don't care. Why are you putting the effort in if it doesn't really matter? Obviously, it does work.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the sad part. I mean, it really is frustrating, and I hate to see you go through it, and I hate being a friend to you and everybody else who goes through it, because all I can do is try to rally people up. I don't have any real controls. I, kind of try to be clever, or maybe we can shame, maybe we can do this. And it's mostly, I know a lot of really popular people, and they have influence, but I don't necessarily have the power. But fortunately, you're almost there, guys. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed to Alison, she is literally on the cusp of 100,000 subscribers. I mean, I'm talking about a tipping point. There's 103 people watching this right now. And she's like within 150 or so of going over 100,000.
Yeah, go subscribe.
Please subscribe to her.
But don't forget to go check me out on Locals or Rockfin, because
obviously
in case
that
I go
too,
missing on YouTube, you'll know.
I will say though that getting Alison over 100,000 makes her another level of a channel. Yeah. And then she's verified, then it's taken more seriously. She may or may not get a channel partner, but the point is that it's not as the bigger a channel gets and the stronger they get, the less YouTube can just mess with everything about them. I mean, a good example is Steven Crowder. I mean, Steven Crowder is not loved by a single employee of YouTube, I'm sure, but he is powerful. And so the more powerful, the voice becomes, the more likely it is they are actually going to survive it. So seriously, help Alison.
Well, my big question moving forward, Eric, is YouTube's announced that it's going to be cracking down on misinformation. And it's funny because the mainstream news, like I watched the CNN video and they're like, finally. Finally, they're cracking. We're 2 years into the pandemic, and finally, I'm like, are you kidding me? Finally, do you know what it's like trying to do real journalism? Obviously, you guys aren't doing that because
they don't. They don't know what that's like.
But it's just nuts. So now YouTube's cracking down even more. So I don't know what I'm going to do with my channel. Talking to other people who have sort of redirected, as you know, we have a mutual friend who redirected his content to be safer for YouTube and is doing very well. To me, it's like, I gotta like what I'm doing, and I'm not really, I know making money is important to pay your bills and
Mm.
stuff, but if what I cared about was using YouTube to make money, I would be pimping out my Airstream renovation videos constantly. I'd be like sitting in front of it with a bikini, we worked on the floor today and stuff like that. And I'm just talking about what I'm interested in because I'm a former
Mm.
journalist and I'm sick and tired of watching the bastardization of journalism that I watch every day, which is feeding into, like, in my opinion, increasingly tightened surveillance state, So I'm like, do I just sit back and just do like stupid journalism videos with blooper reels during a time where I feel like the profession that I love so much is going down the freaking drain at a cyclic rate, and at the same time is feeding into this movement I'm very concerned about with our government and people cheering it on. I just have a hard time with that too, but that means I'm always going to be in the crosshairs. There's no way I'm going to get out of the crosshairs if that's the route I go down.
Okay. I hear that. I agree. And by the way, if anybody's going to wear a bikini on this show, it's got to be you, because I'd be arrested for harming people's eyes. Now, I understand that, but at the same token, at least for now, and things can change. Remember, MySpace was the only thing out there, and there was nothing.
Right.
And then what? It's like a running joke. As long as YouTube is the main lane, you've got to at least put a flag out there to say, here, you've said how many times
I agree.
that's your window dressing, and you say, hey, if you want to see the good stuff, though, it's in the back of my store here at Locals and Rockfin or whatever you're doing. And I think that's the correct approach. And so what? You can't talk about a couple things. I'm going through it too. And I think you were talking about Nate when you said about changing things up, because Nate the lawyer is exploding. He's doing fantastically. But I'm doing a show with Nate called No Holds Barred, and I'm pivoting here, unstructured.locals.com. If you want to see Nate and I go at it, and we don't always go at it, but we will go at it, and we will say the actual words that I'm afraid to say here. We try not to swear too much just because, people might listen with kids or whatever, but we'll say those other really bad words, the V words, the I words. St. Fauci proclamations, and maybe I had a guy who filmed an exorcism. Can we have an exorcism of a St. Fauci? Oh wait, sorry. Anyway, we're doing that show, and it's not the biggest show in the world, but we get a few hundred to 1,000 people, and we have fun because we just say whatever the hell we want. And I know Alison's doing that on Locals too.
Did you mention though that like Nate was doing these police videos that continually were getting demonetized?
Right. And we did one on Locals together. Now this is before No Holds Barred, but he and I did one. And let me put it this way. It would involve the death of an individual in custody through a head wound. And we had the full graphics involved, and it was all in Locals. We did not even put it on YouTube at all. And we could talk very candidly about the situation in a very detailed manner. Another individual is Dr. Michael Wood. I have done stuff with him on Locals, and he can go deep on it. Now, he manages to stay under the radar, and he'll just do whatever the hell he wants on YouTube, and nobody does anything, and he kind of almost brags about it. And he might watch this, so he'll get on me later, but he does. He's like, I don't know what your problem is. But anyway, somehow he's sliding under the radar and doing it. But on Locals, we have done that. And yes, Nate is no longer doing any police videos, which he was known for on YouTube. But fairness, I don't think so. I think at the most a general, but any kind of a breakdown. And here we go. Dr. Wood is here, and see, I'm not lying. It's kind of true.
Is he talking about how you shouldn't wear a bikini?
Oh, no, that's absolutely true. That wouldn't be kind. Do not stop halfway there. That's a tragedy. If you want to see a hot tub stream, go check out Nick Ricada. Go check out Allison. Go check out anybody. You don't want to see me. That is going to be, yes, exactly. To please, for the love of all that is holy, no. I concur. That is so true. And yes, and he is following up with Nate and I going at it in bikinis. Not gonna
Well,
happen.
I agree. I think with the cool thing about the other platforms is that the way that they're set up is like locals, and I'm on Rockfin. It gives the creators so much more support for fewer viewers because it's not ad-based revenue.
Yeah.
And so you can have a few thousand subscribers on another platform, which would be like having 2 subscribers on YouTube for the month, maybe even negative. If you had 2,000 subscribers on YouTube, you're barely even monetized. You know, maybe you're making $1 a month or something.
Yeah, you need 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watch hours. So hint, guys, there's a pinned comment above. Please consider subscribing to the show that I'm doing with Mark Robert, which, by the way, is not controversial in the modern sense. We're talking about things like RFK assassination, and since that's old, nobody cares about him. YouTube will leave us alone. So we'll talk about, you know, all kinds of pop culture and history and CIA. YouTube seems fine with that. But anyway, please subscribe there to get that one monetized. But yes, you are right. That's that 1,000 true fans.
Skip from bikini to bikini wax.
Is this okay? Fine. I don't care. Just make sure you hit like while you're taunting me, please, and subscribe if you haven't already. Good Lord. Oh, you guys, you're cruel. You are cruel. You're cruel to yourselves. You don't even know. Your imagination should be flaring up and burning your head completely in consideration of your horrible, unholy thoughts. Just saying.
Ziggy was talking about how they need to upgrade their servers. I was wondering why my video that I uploaded last night wouldn't upload in process. I bet it was because of this.
Yeah, I think it's possible. I mean, there's, well, and there are, okay, I'm not going to say that locals have it all dialed in. They're playing catch up, but at least they're playing. But yeah, I can name multiple problems. Like one, I mean, it lags 3-4 hours to find out if somebody commented or something. You know, I get comments that I already looked at on the site. I'm like, oh well, that was like this morning, and it's 6 in the evening, or it's very, very confusing on all that. So Dave Rubin, I know, is aware. There were other complaints, and I'll address one now. We've all talked about we want multi-level support, and we also would like to see some kind of bundling happen where, I mean, I don't know, a lot of people here subscribe to me, they subscribe to Allison, they might want to pay a fee and subscribe to both our channels at one time, and a couple others. I mean, obviously, I have a ton of leftovers that come from Viva Barnes. I mean, I that is a big chunk of the audience. Nate the lawyer, there's a crossover. I would love it if we could have things like that, especially when we're doing shows together and things. So all of these things are out there. I know they're addressing them, but we don't have any specific control over it. And I do understand technology wise, they've got a lot to catch up on. I mean, we beat up YouTube for a while. So there are here we go. Barnes is saying the low TV locals Apple bundle. Awesome.
Oh, cool.
It is. Okay, by the way, that's an irony. Has anybody noticed that we spent all this time bitching about cable and getting rid of it? And now what we're trying to do is essentially rebuild cable, and everybody is rebuilding cable. You have ESPN and Disney Channel and Hulu all in a bundle, and this one in a bundle. It's like, oh, we really do actually like cable, but we just want it over bits on an internet cable. I don't know. It's funny.
It's like when you're wearing your mom's outfit from the 60s and it's cool again, or like Chuck Taylor's. It's the Chuck Taylor
never went out of style. No. They never went out of style. Chuck Taylors have been perennially cool. Those and Levi Strauss 501.
I have 3 pairs.
Okay, so there you go. And you're cooler than me, so that just proves my point.
Barely, Eric. Barely. But I'll say yes, but barely.
No. Not even close. Not even close. And oh, you know what? We forgot about news, didn't we? Well, I
Yeah.
guess the big news.
I forgot about booze too. If I may say, I'm drinking the tea made from coffee fruits from my coffee sponsor. If anybody likes coffee or tea, you should go to twinenginecoffee.com/Allison with 1L, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison. Did you know you can make tea out of coffee fruit?
Why not? I don't
Well,
know.
you
There
can,
you go.
and you can support my channel while you're at it. So that's what I'm drinking right now. It's pretty good. And
By
you
the
know
way,
what I added to it,
what's
which
that?
is a life hack for everybody? Well, apparently dandelion root is really good for detoxing your liver. So I so I'm really drinking an elixir of Cartura tea made from my sponsor, twinenginecoffee.com/Allison, and dandelion root.
Okay. And by the way, I'm glad you mentioned that because it does come up from time to time. I don't expect anybody to necessarily drink booze. Half of the name is because it freaking rhymes. I actually even considered renaming it to News with Brews because I know that some people don't drink for personal choices or any other reason. But then everybody kind of corrected me in locals and said, Eric, get over it. You're getting a little too sensitive. So I'm leaving it alone, but I want everybody to know that I absolutely don't expect anybody to drink. It's more of the attitude than it is necessarily the lifestyle. And
What
I
of
fully
drinking?
support, yeah, I fully support water or coffee or whatever. I mean, Allison, now I don't necessarily support Allison drinking NA because it's disgusting, but I will step back and say that she is my partner in crime here, so I will just shut up and say,
You should try
okay,
this.
weirdo, go ahead.
You should try the brand that I have. I'm not saying most non-alcoholic beer is disgusting, but I'm telling you, what is it again? Athletic, I think, is the brand that I got, and they're not a sponsor or anything, but they have a
They
couple
should be.
IPAs, a Golden Ale, a Mexican lager. It's not bad. I'm telling you, it's not bad, and it's even better. No headache the next day. So
All true. Okay, yeah. Somebody pointed out High Line. That's what I'm drinking.
Highlight is really good. That's a Tampa brew, hometown.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. And now I can say it right. Which, by the way, you didn't correct me. People in the chat jumped all over me, and it's like, thanks, Allison. I was
Wait,
saying
for
High
what?
Ally. It's High Lie, not High Ally. I was like, I have High Ally.
Hi, Allie.
Oh,
They
there you
named it
go.
after me.
That's what it is with an extra A. So instead of two L's, it's an A in there.
Hold it
All right,
up for
so
me.
High Lie.
Got it.
Um,
It's good. It's good beer.
no, it is. It's not too crazy. I can't stand too hoppy. But okay, so to news, and I like to start the show out with something. I don't know. We had a lawsuit recently about an album cover, and I really appreciate the effort that this cyclist put in. And
Oh yeah, that was good.
it is amazing anyone who is going to spend the time. By the way, notice the attention to detail, and I'm not going to point it out. But there is a specific attention to detail in the picture that cyclist made sure that they covered. And yes, it's the dollar bill on the string, by the way. That's the attention to detail.
I'm looking at this headline under it that the baby wants his naked image censored on 30th anniversary reissue.
Oh yeah, you didn't see? Okay, there's a whole lawsuit.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah. Oh geez. Okay. Yes, the might have been one of your weeks off. Sorry. The individual who was in the picture, the baby, who, by the way, has on other anniversaries posed as an adult doing it, suddenly decided that it was actually trafficking in CP. Here we go, YouTube.
Okay.
And so he sued. And I mean, he sued every single person involved, the photographer, Dave Grohl, every band member, the Kurt Cobain estate, like, what is it, Butch Vig, anyway, producers, every single person, all for 150,000 or whatever, because there's a federal criminal statute in that. And he sued them on the premise of distributing CP. It is a kind of a rubbish lawsuit, because the rules, the laws involved literally doesn't qualify. It's something like you have to do it within 10 years, or you have to do it within X number of years from being 18. And he's like 30 something. So he's like, he doesn't qualify on either front. Statute of limitations. Also, if it actually went through, then anybody who bought the album would be technically possessing of said product. And so how many albums of Nirvana Nevermind were sold? That would be, it would be the widest distribution of CP ever seen in the world. And then there's the last factor that, okay, you've seen the album before, Allison. I'm sure you haven't missed it, right? It's almost as big as Dark Side of the Moon. Did you ever, for a millisecond, think that it was CP?
No, but I will say, as a mom, I probably, not even probably, I would never sign my daughter up to model for that. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So, like, I wouldn't feel comfortable with my child like that on a cover on something that people were like looking at regularly.
Okay, but that's a personal choice. It's not necessarily saying it. I mean, there are a million people who have like a child, whatever gender or whatever, like playing naked and
can I go back to my answer?
And nobody thinks about it. Go for it.
Okay, Can I go back to my answer? Could it be used for that? Yeah, it could be. I mean, do I think that was the intent of it? It was producing that? No. But could it be used for that purpose? That somebody, yeah, it could be. And maybe,
well, there are yearbooks.
Maybe this guy just wants a payday, but I could see how somebody else would grow up and say, you know what? I don't even want to put that. I don't want to put that out there. Now the problem is it's already been in circulation for forever. So.
Right, and then the same dude poses in pools and takes pictures.
Yeah. Well, obviously he was probably fine. Well, I don't know. I guess if I was just playing devil's advocate, then maybe you'd say fine because I'm an adult and I'm making that choice. Whereas my parents made the choice for me when I was a kid.
No, but they weren't in a lawsuit, by the way. Oops, forgot that part. Because if you're going to sue anybody, why not them? Who signed the consent?
Right. True.
So,
like,
I mean, okay.
Then you end up like Britney Spears.
Oh, well, by the way, I guess her father has been suspended from the conservatorship.
Right.
So when I get the lawyers on here on Friday, that may or may not come up. But yeah, I guess the father has been suspended from it officially, which I think is cool. Now, again, that's another one where I think there's probably a lot of nuance, and we've talked about it before, but I always have questioned the motivations and the fact that she could not hire her own attorney. I feel like if you have a scenario where one person is being affected by everyone, and that same person, okay, first off, you're saying that she's not responsible enough to take care of herself, but she is responsible enough to dance like a little monkey for millions of people to make tons of money for all involved. And by the way, you're going to pay for every lawyer, every psychiatrist, every single person involved. It's like you get to not only be in prison, but you get to pay your jailers. That seems a little uncomfortable. And it's like, okay, well, let's just say that, okay, you are really, there's big problems or whatever. Why couldn't you hire your own attorney, not have one appointed by the court? Because she did hire her own, or tried to. And they said, no, too bad. Now, as a person who was licensed, effectively, legitimately, now I've got Barnes in here. He doesn't believe in licensure, and I agree with it. But even in this case, they even were licensed. It's just, oh, sorry, not good enough. So then you have the court appointing it. So my biggest gripe with the Britney Spears case, because I don't know the details, was the high level aspect of who the hell's speaking for her. And as long as nobody is there speaking for her, then that leaves everything to my imagination. And my imagination is very bad. It thinks the worst things of everyone. It's kind of like mandates of some kind or another, or shall we say censoring of people for some reason or another. If I don't know what they're going to say, then I'm just going to imagine all kinds of things. And those things could be completely, utterly wrong. But how would I know? Because their voice isn't out. And since they're not allowed to talk out loud, I can't hear a counter argument to them. I can only hear how they're dumb, lame, stupid, anti, ridiculous. Barnes says, "Welcome to the conservatorship. See the Netflix movie. Is this the new Netflix movie on her? I saw the other one, but I didn't see the Netflix. Anyway, that's where I am. So I'm not the brightest candle on the cake. I need all the assistance I can get. So how about if we let every voice out there, and then I can hear all sides."
Sorry, Eric. No, there's no way to control you that way.
But that's not fair.
Life is
I want to
not
hear
fair,
Allison.
Highness.
I want to hear Allison, and she'll just get suspended again.
Yeah. Who knew? I should have known I when I was president of Math Honor Society and got kicked out for talking too much that I was going to end up being the one suspended on YouTube 30 years later.
It could be. And then you're hanging out with our friend Brad Skistimus.
Yeah,
tonight.
he's great.
So
that was
by the
fun.
way, he filled in for you while you were gone.
He told me. Oh yeah, he told me to tell you hi.
Howdy. Anyway, yep. And he's starting to feel that troublemaker because Brad has gone from being like this pretty boy crooner. He doesn't like talking about it, but he really was. I mean, it's like if you okay, Melrose Place is dating a little before, but I have a poor reference point. But I mean, he literally was the guy who was singing all the love songs for the girls in the college.
He was?
TV. Oh, dude, you didn't know that?
No.
He's been on like dozens of soundtracks on The Big Bang Theory.
I did not know that. I'm glad I didn't know that, so I wasn't like too nervous when we were doing our chat.
I'm telling you, yes.
I was all about. Well, I shouldn't have been watching Melrose Place at my age, but I tune in every once in a while.
Okay, well, he was post Melrose, but he was in like all the MTV, whatever. But yeah, I mean, he literally, that was his gig.
That's funny. I didn't know that. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that though. But he definitely does have that, like, you know, even when he's thinking of the lockdown, it's like, lockdowns, they suck. But you're just like, sing more about the lockdown sucking. Oh, I'm so hot.
Well, what's fun? What's funny about it is he okay, well, his song Joe. Oh, by the way, I talked about having a spin-off channel. Another thing I'm doing is I'm probably not going to do any more Gen X reacts because it's just not working out time-wise and everything. So I was prompting everybody ahead that I'm doing a spin-off show with Mark Robert and trying to get everything in alignment because it's like always moving parts around. Anyway, but Brad did the song Joe, and I don't know if you've heard that.
Yeah,
he's not soft on that one. That one he is like there's just rage, just pure rage coming through in that. Very, very, very good stuff.
but still sounds so nice. You know, it doesn't.
No, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, if you didn't hear the lyrics, you would be like, "Oh, this must be a love song," or maybe a sad song. Maybe a sad song.
Well, yeah, until he's apologizing for the F word later on to all of his audience saying, "I know you're used to hearing me," and but anyway, it's a good song.
He and I talked about kind of how we had a similar phenomenon because we had very different audiences in our past lives. And as an environmental reporter, I had probably the vast majority of the people who paid attention to my work were kind of neoliberal Democrats and, you know, shopping at Whole Foods, whatever, REI. And then I'll never forget when I posted questioning Bill Gates and the amount of press coverage he was getting at the beginning of the pandemic. Just even asking that question, there were a couple people who were just like, you know what, Allison, you've gone down the rabbit hole and I'm not following you down there, you know? And it was just, that was enough. But yet all these people are like, I'm done with Allison. And then you rebuild a new audience. But he said the same thing happened to him. Well, all these people are like, wait, what? What did you say?
Oh yeah. No, Barnes just wrote out. Yeah. I caught the periphery of this because I haven't had time. I got that day job thing. There was a giant purge on YouTube today, which included Bobby Kennedy and many other channels. And yeah, very strange coincidence. Bobby Kennedy was removed before his Fauci Gates book came out. Not a complete shock. What was really funny was this was last week. Were you on at the time when I showed the Bill Gates interview on PBS?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Creepy.
Oh,
You
it
know
was
what?
wonderful.
After we did that, Lynn, my husband, showed me the Eileen Warnos confession video and was comparing it, like trying to show me like her facial expressions and Bill Gates and how like similar some of the parts of it were. I don't know if people know her. She was a serial killer. She was executed already, right? Years ago.
Charlize Theron played her in the movie Monster.
Yeah.
Great performance. Beautiful woman playing a less than beautiful person.
Yeah. But yeah, Bill Gates knows the eternal truths, whatever they may be. I don't know where eternity is, where Bill Gates' eternal truths are coming from.
Okay, the eternal truths are one of them is that Epstein didn't kill himself. The other one is
some lady.
Sally. Is it Sally Gates?
Yeah, Sally Gates. Yeah.
And then the third is like a revolving door, where you fill in your own.
I actually think I'm surprised Bobby Kennedy was still on YouTube. I think probably the only reason that he was because of his connections and his name.
Sally Gates. Sorry,
because
rhymes with Gates. Sorry,
Gates. Yeah, Sally Gates. Yeah, but like the Highwire, which does a lot of the similar stuff to Bobby Kennedy's group, they got booted a long time ago. That was the guy who produced Vaxxed, the movie. And they do a lot of similar content, and they've been off YouTube for months at this point. So I think Bobby Kennedy would have been targeted if not for his name.
Well, yeah, I mean, and they do target him now. They're like, where the Kennedy went wrong, where he went against the narrative, and Mark Robert knows him very well too, because they've worked on the Sirhan case, and the whole Kennedy family is like completely split on that. It's a mess. It's a mess. Speaking of which, I have a show with Mark Robert. So again, the pinned comment in the top. You see, I'm going to learn like Barnes. I'm not as cool and slick about it, but please subscribe. America's Untold Story. Tomorrow it's going to be on my channel, but then it's shifting after that. And tomorrow's going to be finally the real story of what the hell happened with the actual Robert F. Kennedy assassination. And I know we're tight on time because Allison has another interview, so I'm trying to be conscious of that. So Allison,
you want me to tease my interview real fast?
Yeah, sure. If you can.
It's actually really interesting. I won't go into detail because it's another one of those sensitive topics, but a physician reached out to me who lives in Florida, but does video conferencing as a psychologist, I believe, in Washington. So he's licensed in Washington, lives in Florida, and does virtual care for people in Washington. And Washington has a vaccine mandate for any health practitioner,
Fauci juice,
right?
By the way, Fauci juice is so good. And by the way, if you know Joe Neerman, the lawyer out of New York, he heard that and it planted an image in his head. And he is so grossed out that he cringes visibly every time we say it. So I want to say it twice as often because I love seeing Joe Neerman go, oh. By the way, he's good logic if you guys want to check it out, but it's very fun to watch Joe Neerman go, oh. So Fauci juice is cool. And I know that that's probably going to meme, but
yeah. Well, no, so we'll call it that. But yeah, actually, I can see him in my waiting room right now. But he is being basically told that he's going to lose his license if he doesn't get the Fauci juice, even though he doesn't even live here. So anyway, it's interesting. It's a weird time. I'm going to run. Thanks, everybody.
See you. It's great having you. Bye-bye. Okay, so rolling things out, everyone. I know I posted on Locals that this was probably going to be a short show. I hope you guys consider tomorrow we will be finally wrapping up the RFK situation in terms of the assassination. I think it's going to be our first show on sorry, on America's Untold Stories, we are going to have an author on who wrote a book. I think it's called Blowout. If this doesn't grab you, I don't know what will, but the claim is that Robert F. Kennedy, the gentleman who was assassinated, himself personally with another person murdered Marilyn Monroe. I expect a reaction out of that because it's not exactly not something I would ever consider. I will say that that is not something that I naturally am inclined to believe in. But this is a gentleman who has written about 22 books or so, supposedly nominated for Pulitzer Prizes, supposedly a cop, supposedly. Okay. Here's part of the issue when doing interviews, and I hope that everybody here understands this. Because I have somebody on doesn't mean that I'm 100% in alignment. As a matter of fact, I had a CIA spy on last week, and I put this out on Locals, on structured@locals.com, asking people, because I kind of got in a fight with them. I don't know if it's a fight. It was an argument. I laughed, though. It wasn't, completely rough, but he said something that really, really, really surprised me. And I actually thought that I thought it really showed something. So I'm going to tell the story, and I hope you consider checking it out. It's Andrew Bustamante. He runs a channel called Everyday Spy. A very nice guy, got on fine, and afterwards, I mean, there were no hard feelings or anything. We just have a very severe disagreement. And essentially, the disagreement stems from this. I was talking about how I believe in Hanlon's razor. And the premise of Hanlon's razor is that never ascribe to malice that which can be explained by stupidity. And I do believe in that essentially 99% of all cover-ups are just, you have a somebody who does something wrong, and the command knows that they're going to get caught up in the mess because that person did something wrong, so they cover it up so their own ass doesn't get in a sling. It's not like a pre-planned deal. And then I said, except when there actually is a cover-up like MK Ultra. Now, MK Ultra has actually been in front of Congress or the Church Commission. There are many books on it. I'm actually kind of embarrassed about how widespread the information on MK Ultra was. I was like, ooh, I'm discovering something really salacious and secret. And then I only find out that, oh no, that was the cover of New York Times and every other publication for damn near a decade. But we've forgotten about it. And there's been so much noise and so much stuff going on that it just kind of is like, huh, well, and it's in the books. I mean, well, what is the joke? The best place to hide secrets is either on the second page of Google. It used to be inside of a book. And that's really, really, really sad. But when I pointed that out, except in an actual cover-up like MK Ultra, where they burned the files. They literally burned the files. That was a directive that came out. And then they screwed up, though, and financial records came up that they hadn't burned that actually kind of replicated a lot of what was going on, and that's how it got discovered. He came back with saying, okay, yeah, but I'm pragmatic. I believe anything in the safety of my country. Now, this is where things got a little squirrely, because I was starting to argue that, well, wait a minute. Your country, who are you working for? Because citizens of the United States are the country, in my mind. And I'm going to stand by that. Actually, it's not in my mind. I think it's reality. I'm not going to hedge that. Bullshit. We're citizens. We are literally in the country, and that's it. U.S. citizens are the country. The country is based on the people within. And he said, no, I don't work for them. And I said, what? Oh, hell no. You absolutely work for the citizens of the United States and the country. You're completely off. And I'm starting to explain the chain of command. And now, during this time, coincidentally, his signal got broken up and everything was going crazy. And I had talked about the deep state. Yeah, Jelaine mentioned the deep state. And I was saying that the deep state is technically a bureaucracy of individuals who, they've been there before everyone's come along, and they'll be there after everyone's come along. Because I've worked in the government. I was in the Army. I've worked, anyway. And the deep state is a scary term, but it really is the deep bureaucracy. But anyway, back to it. He was saying no. And then this is where I knew that there was something here. There's a real, very serious disconnect. He said, no, you can't tell a Google employee what to do. They don't report to you. And I'm like, no, that's a corporation. That's a company. That is an entity in the marketplace. That has nothing to do with it. He goes, yeah, but those entities, they get voted in. I said, yes, they get voted in by stockholders who actually own a part of the company. They are not the citizens. Anyway, I encourage you to check it out. It's Andrew Bustamante, and maybe you all disagree with me. I do have comments saying, no, you're wrong. They don't work for the guy, they don't work for you. They work for a chain of command. And once the money goes in, that it's a different fund. It's like, I personally feel that mindset of, by the way, this is a CIA undercover operative. This is someone who goes around the world, hopefully for us. I'm not sure now, because now it's some of us, according to what he said. And that's what kind of scares the bejesus out of me. One of the most dangerous people alive. Multilingual, undercover, trained to the teeth, very capable, but not accountable in his mind. And yes, KM, you are absolutely right. Trained in getting people to betray their beliefs. Yes. Anyway, that is why I personally found it troubling, and that's my side of it. I will say again, we had major technical issues. Things were getting broken up with the signal, with everything else, and then we talked. And we had a great time after. It's all fine, and I probably will have him back if it works out. I'll definitely have him back. Probably will readdress it though. I mean, people who've been watching me for a while, and I have hundreds of interviews, hundreds. I do not typically argue or go at or do anything with anyone, but that I don't know. I have to make choices, and in general, everyone is, they're guests in my house, and I want them to feel as welcome as possible. I'm not trying to harm them, and again, we left on great terms. But I report to you, and I'm not kidding. I'm not just saying that because it's like, oh, you're in the comments, and I'm going to put it up and say, I report to the audience. No, I absolutely do, because I am absolutely nothing without you. And you may say things I disagree with. You may tell me an idiot. You may whatever in the comments. I get all that, but I think that was something very, very critical. It really, really bothered me. It bothered me to my soul, and it scared me. I thought that this is something we've really got to look at. And the reason why is it's not just him. I mean, he's a nice guy. I mean, he was not high level, and I'm sure there's nothing in it, but it's that mindset. And I think of Clapper. And we wonder, what is going on with these people. And when I have somebody on and I see that mindset coming through, I just want you to see it. I just want you to know it. If we have people in the CIA or, dare I say, now FBI, I mean, FBI is just, I mean, I don't know who's worse anymore. It's just a shit show. Excuse me. It's my language. But if that's who we have, and they don't believe that they're accountable. And no, I don't expect them to freaking salute me and say, yes, sir, or whatever. I'm just saying it's a mindset and a principle. And by the way, one of the first questions I talked about with him was the principle of having the goal and mindset in mind. Like, you have your intention in your mind in everything you do. Now, if your intention in everything you do has nothing to do with being accountable or serving the country, or more importantly, the people of the country to which you belong, then we've got a corruption problem, don't we? Right? I understand he doesn't report directly, but he should always be aware of me and every citizen here. Like, that's not right. That's against the Constitution. We all report, we're responsible to the Constitution. And I'm not going to sit there and say that there isn't, like the trolley car problem. And I will freely acknowledge that. Okay. I'll probably mess it up, but the car problem is that there's let's say a little girl, and she's going to be hit potentially by one trolley, or there's a family, there's like 5 people are going to be hit by another. A lot of us would save the girl just because, empathy would make us think that, the little girl, and, it's very visceral. But the truth is that you should worry about the 5. And I get that. So I'm not trying to put out a message that every single person should be saved, no matter. I understand. I understand there's some hard choices. My issue is if your core values don't line up, then everything's askew. Everything. So I could have read too much into it. I don't know. I'm going to stand by and say I don't think that I did. I do think that it was a very big problem to me and to my mindset. Somebody brought up a few good men, and it's actually funny. Who brought up a few good men? Because a few good men is an interesting case study. I had wow, my brain is just frozen now. But here we go. KM, thank you. I had another interview recently, and it was with a Brit. And I should look it up. I am so embarrassed that I'm just like, I'm so busy in the moment just trying to riff, and I don't, think of everybody. So I don't always pick up on the names, and I have a terrible memory. But Andrew Gold. Okay, another Andrew. So I had Andrew Bustamante. Maybe that's what's throwing me, is there's 2 Andrews. Anyway, Andrew Gold is a BBC documentarian. And we didn't go into this on the air, I don't think. But we did talk about it later. And he had mentioned how a few good men had changed his mind completely. And ironically, it was that scene. Everybody loves that scene with Jack Nicholson. You can't handle the truth, and da-da-da. He was a psycho. He's this, he's that. But if you actually step back and you think about it for a minute, what he said is true. We need him on that wall. And Andrew picked up on it. I mean, Andrew's very young, a generation behind me. And he said that he saw that, and he said, yeah, I realized that, I'm kind of a wimpy coward and this and that. And I live in freedom and stuff because of all these, crazy people who were on the wall and doing all that. So I get it. I totally get it. And I was in Cuba. I know I've talked about it a bunch of times. Just There's a lot of bad things out there. So we do need soldiers. And we do need people who will make the hard choices. But I'm just saying they have to remember whom they're making them for. So, on that note, I deeply, deeply appreciate it. I hope you consider following the show with Mark Robert. I mean, he's another big brain like Barnes. I mean, just the two of them are lights out. Barnes is, I believe Barnes is going to be on with us tomorrow to wrap up the RFK thing, and then that all the content will be on that new channel. And I just think that's a better way to go because Mark works really hard, an incredible resource, and I think it's going to be amazing, especially that if you're on there and watching Mark and me, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be Mark and me, and that's what it's all about. So please consider subscribing. Again, I deeply, deeply appreciate everyone here. And let me check one more thing before we go. Did we go yellow? Because we weren't yellow. Maybe they'll play tricks on me and do the yellow thing after it's over. Well, they haven't yet. That's kind of nice. I appreciate it. And good night.